Hi, I'm Mark from the Endurance Store. So for all the blog followers, we've been talking the last couple of weeks about anterior tilt or lordosis posture. So I've got Paul Sanderson here from Paul Sanderson Physiotherapy today. We're going to go through a few exercises which hopefully might help to resolve the problem. So Paul, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Mark's going to demonstrate what was already mentioned to you on the blogs before, and we're going to look at the anterior pelvic tilt, the posterior pelvic tilt, and pelvic neutral. Okay, Mark, so if you want to demonstrate the anterior pelvic tilt. So you can see Mark's pelvis is rotating forwards, okay, and that's the anterior pelvic tilt. Okay, now switch to the posterior pelvic tilt. Again, pelvis rolling backwards to demonstrate the posterior pelvic tilt, and now come back into neutral. Correct. So from the standing position, Mark is now going to find lumbar pelvic neutral in the supine pivot position in order to execute the next exercise of single leg lift outs. Okay, so Mark, so go ahead and find lumbar pelvic neutral, coming into anterior tilt and roll back into posterior pelvic tilt, then coming into neutral and maintaining that position. As he maintains that position, we know he's got control of the lumbar pelvic region. He brings both knees up together, and as the name suggests, he pushes one leg out to a count of 5, 3, 4, 5, and then back again, and then the other leg out for a count of 5, 3, 4, 5, then back again. Okay, if you find that easy, you can advance the exercise by doing both legs together whilst maintaining the lumbar pelvic neutral position. And back again. During this exercise, when reaching failure, that's the time to stop. Okay, so from the single leg lift outs, we now progressed on to the commonly performed exercise of the plank. Okay, when performing the plank, again you want to maintain that lumbar pelvic neutral position, not falling into a lumbar lordosis, as Mark is demonstrating here, and not arching the back as well. So we're looking to find a neutral position, maintain that position, maintain lumbar pelvic control, and perform the plank position. So in order to achieve lumbar pelvic neutral, we want to ensure that the hip flexors aren't tight and the hamstrings aren't tight. In order to do this, we can perform two stretches. One being the lunge stretch, and Mark is demonstrating that here with a low anterior tilted pelvis. Okay, to increase this stretch or enhance this stretch, you can posteriorly tilt his pelvis, putting more of a stretch on the hip flexors. Further enhance this stretch, Mark can raise his hand to stretch the whole kinetic chain. the whole anterior kinetic chain. So in order to stretch rectus femoris, which is an additional hip flexor, Mark has got his foot propped up on the chair, and he's holding the same position as before with his posterior pelvic tilt. So I'll continue on from the stretches. Mark is now performing a hamstring stretch.